I love Halloween. With spooky season just around the corner, I thought I'd talk about one of my favorite spooky shows, American Horror Story. And I thought I'd do it in an iceberg, since you guys seem to love these iceberg videos. An iceberg where things at the top are well known, stuff at the bottom is more obscure, and I'm gonna explain each entry. Yeah. Now, before we get into these entries, let me give a brief explanation of American Horror Story. American Horror Story, often abbreviated as AHS, is an anthology horror television series created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk. Each season is its own self-contained miniseries with a unique storyline, setting, and characters, but then a lot of the actors do return in different roles for each season. Here's a brief overview of the series. Season 1 is Murder House, and it focuses on a family that moves into a haunted house in Los Angeles, unaware of its dark history of death and betrayal. Season 2 is called Asylum. It's set in the 1960s, and it revolves around the patients, doctors, and nuns inhabiting a mental institution with a disturbing past. Season 3 is called Coven, which follows a group of witches in New Orleans, navigating threats from outsiders and dealing with internal power struggles. Season 4 is called Freak Show, which is set in the 1950s. This season is about one of the last remaining freak shows in America and the dark events surrounding it. Season 5 is called Hotel, and it revolves around a haunted, enigmatic hotel in Los Angeles and the mysteries of both its living residents and its not living residents. Season 6 is Roanoke, which uses a documentary-style format to tell the story of a couple tormented by supernatural forces on the North Carolina coast, tied to the lost colony of Roanoke. This one is scary to me, especially because I live in North Carolina, and I think that where this takes place is only a few hours from me. Season 7 is called Cult. It focuses on the aftermath of the 2016 US presidential election and explores the rise of a cult leader and the fears that he exploits. Season 8 is called Apocalypse, and it's a crossover between Murder House and Coven. It centers on the end of the world and the ensuing battle between witches and the Antichrist. Season 9 is called 1984, and it pays homage to 1980s slasher films, set at a summer camp with a murderous past. Season 10 is called Double Feature. It's divided into two parts, one involving a mysterious pill that brings out an individual's talent, but with a sinister side effect, and the other about an eerie community with dark secrets. So yeah, each season has its own distinctive narrative, but there are subtle connections and crossover elements sprinkled throughout, hinting at a shared universe, which has been pretty much confirmed, because Season 8 is literally a crossover between Murder House and Coven. So with all that out of the way, I'm excited for this one, guys. Let's get straight into level 1 of this iceberg. Michael Langdon, basically you can think of him as the main bad guy for the whole franchise across the whole anthology. But where did he come from? He first appeared in Murder House, the first season of American Horror Story, but then he becomes a much bigger and more important role in the Apocalypse season. Now, Michael's origin is a bit weird. He was born when Vivian Harmon and a ghost named Tate Langdon had a child. Yeah, bro, somehow an actual woman and a ghost had a kid. I don't know how that works, but anyway, Vivian was going to give birth to twins, but then during childbirth, she died, and only one of the twins survived. That twin is Michael Langdon. And then later on, Michael is revealed, wait, spoiler alert, he's revealed to be the Antichrist, a being who, is prophesied to bring about the end of the world. This entry is referring to just how in Murder House, Billy Dean Howard talks to Constance and Violet and talks about the lost colony of Roanoke, the colony that disappeared in the 16th century, leaving behind only the word Croatoan carved into a tree. And she also talks about the word Croatoan, which was used as a spell to banish spirits. She tried using it to help Violet get rid of the spirits in the Murder House, but it doesn't work. Anyways, this is all just a reference to the Roanoke season of American Horror Story, where the storyline is centered around the Roanoke colony, and the word Croatoan plays a big part. So for anyone that doesn't know, American Horror Stories is a spin-off show of AHS. Unlike the original series, which focuses on a single story arc for an entire season, American Horror Stories tells a different story in each episode. This entry in the iceberg refers to how there were rumors and speculations among fans, and even some statements from those involved in the production that Tate and Violet, the beloved couple from Murder House, might appear in American Horror Stories. Given their popularity and the emotional appeal that a lot of fans loved from Murder House, it seemed plausible, but yeah, never happened. There's a scene in Asylum, the second season of American Horror Story, where they dance to the Name Game, the song from the 60s. So basically, Judy Martin, who is committed to Briarcliff as a patient, is forced to undergo electroconvulsive therapy. Then, while she's experiencing the effects of this therapy, the disoriented Judy imagines a vibrant and surreal musical sequence in the common room of the asylum. She visualizes herself leading the other patients in a choreographed dance to the 1960s Shirley Ellis song, The Name Game. The scene is awesome, bruh. Okay, so in Hotel, one of the seasons of American Horror Story, there's a scene where there's like a dinner party in the hotel that has a bunch of famous evil people where they're all around the table eating dinner together. Basically, every Halloween, they hold a dinner for all the deceased spirits. Anyways, in this scene, Richard Ramirez is shown, who was an actual, real serial killer who terrorized California in the mid-1980s. And in this scene, they confirm that Richard Ramirez did die in 2013, since this scene takes place in 2015, and he's a ghost in the scene. But then later on, in 1984, another season of American Horror Story, Richard Ramirez plays a more significant role. Here, though, the show shows us that Richard Ramirez is still stuck in Camp Redwood in 2019. So he couldn't have been in the hotel in 2015 if he had been stuck at Camp Redwood this whole time. Plot hole, bad AHS, bad AHS. So, one of the creators of AHS ran a poll on his socials where he let his followers and the fans of the show decide what a whole season would be about. And by a landslide, the idea of a siren season won. Sirens being like the supernatural water creatures that portray themselves as beautiful women to lure sailors to their deaths. But yeah, basically, it just never happened. Kaya Gerber, the daughter of Cindy Crawford, and Paris Jackson, daughter of Michael Jackson, delivered pretty bad performances in their episodes of AHS. Pretty much, most people think they only got their roles because they're famous and they had connections instead of being, actually fit for the role. So sad. Okay, so this refers to the scene in Murder House where Ben and Vivian are having this super intense, heart-wrenching fight, and Ben just says, "You got a dog." It's just so funny how he says it, bro. Like, dude. Okay, that was the sky, that was above the iceberg, but now we're going underwater into the more obscure stuff. Okay, this one just says Tate was possessed by a demon, which I guess is a theory. I don't think there's any evidence for this, though. I mean, yeah, Tate shot up a school. Maybe this is referring to the latex suit, believed to be, demonic? Or maybe this is referring to how Tate is technically the father of the Antichrist, Michael Langdon, so he must have been demonically or devilly possessed to be the father of the Antichrist? I guess that's my best theory for what this means. Okay, so there was a deleted/alternative ending scene to the cult season, in which Allie has a meeting with her cult, and they are Lana Winters, Cordelia, and Bet and Dot. It was in the original script, confirmed by a genuine leak account, but Ryan removed it because he thought there hadn't been enough time passed for those connections to seem natural or real enough. Constance is a witch refers to the theory that, well, Constance is a witch. The evidence for this comes from the idea that Constance may have been related to the witch family, the DeLongpres. She says in the end of season 1 that the DeLongpres are her distant cousins, but this is improbable because Mimi DeLongpre's sole location is New Orleans. It's never mentioned that she has any relatives in Virginia. She was the supreme from the late 19th century until 1940, when Anna Lee Leighton came into power. She's often recognized in the Coven for having a major role in taking down the Axemen of New Orleans. There's no proof that she ever relocated to California, but it would make a lot of sense that Constance would be a witch, with theories of how she got her powers in Murder House and in Apocalypse, but again, not confirmed. The Queenie paradox is referring to a paradoxical plot hole regarding Queenie. So one of Queenie's powers is that she's basically a human voodoo doll. She hurts herself and she can transfer that injury to someone else, as long as they are a living being. In Apocalypse, she slits her own throat, which ends up cutting Mead's neck. Makes sense, right? That's her power after all. Except, Mead isn't technically a human at this point in the timeline. She's an android humanoid, so technically it shouldn't have worked. But I mean, who cares, bruh? Okay, I'm assuming this Iceberg is kind of old because as of 2023, all seasons of AHS have been removed from Netflix, sadly. But Hotel and Roanoke were the first to be removed. This is because the contract, blah blah blah. Now all of AHS can be found on Hulu. Yeah, go watch it on Hulu. Hulu sponsor me, I need money. Alright, let's get into level 3 with some more obscure stuff. So this one is talking about how Connie Britton, who plays Vivian in Murder House, was originally supposed to be in Coven. We still don't know who she was going to play or any details about it, but I would have loved to see her in Coven. This entry refers to how Moira doesn't always follow the same rules that AHS sets for all the ghosts. Moira is a ghost seen in season 1, and for anyone that doesn't know, Moira is the maid. Now the logic behind the idea that she doesn't follow the rules for ghosts is that ghosts can't age. Tate is still a teenager, the twins are still the same, Nora Montgomery, the Mad Doctor's wife, is the same, but Moira appears as both an old woman and a young woman, making it look like she's aging as a ghost. But really, she's still a ghost, she's just able to manipulate how she looks. When she died, she was young, and she looked like the younger version of herself. But then she's able to appear to other people, usually women in the show, as an old, less attractive woman. This is because she uses her younger appearance to seduce the men, which is still weird though, because why would she appear old at all? She died when she was young, so by ghost logic, she should still appear as her younger self. Anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. This is complicated. Ooh, this one is cool. This entry used the theory that Jessica Lange always plays the same canonical character, just using time travel. Like every time Jessica Lange, the actor, is in the show, she's actually playing the same character in the lore of AHS. This one is actually plausible because it's already confirmed that AHS all takes place in the same universe, so it makes sense. The theory further is that all of these characters are Constance from season 1, and that Constance just uses time travel to go to these different places and times and play a part in the story. This makes sense because every time Jessica Lange is in the show, she's a massively annoying, arrogant, selfish loser every single time. This is an interesting theory though. I mean, look at all the characters Jessica Lange has played. Constance Langdon in Murder House, Sister Jude in Asylum, Fiona Good in Coven, Elsa Mars in Freak Show, and Constance Langdon again in Apocalypse. In the context of the timeline, it would make sense for Constance to just be pretending to be these other characters, but it would also make a bunch of problems. I don't know, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Ooh, this is another plot hole that once again ties back to that hotel dinner scene. By the way, I love that scene. It's one of my favorites from the whole show. The vibes are just perfect there. It's so memorable. But anyways, in that dinner scene, one of the attendees is a Zodiac killer. This confirms that in AHS, in that universe, the Zodiac killings were all committed by one single male individual. So later on in AHS, in Cult, Valerie Solanas shows up. By the way, Solanas was a real person. She was a radical feminist who was most well known for an attempted suicide on Andy Warhol. Anyways, in Cult, she explains that the Zodiac killings were attributed to one person, but really, they were the work of Solanas herself and her group of followers, called Scum. But in Hotel, it's clear that the Zodiac was one killer, so yeah, plot hole. Personally, the way I see it, bro, these writers are making a whole show with over 10 seasons and trying to connect all of them while making each season concise still. I mean, some plot holes are just gonna show up. Like, it's almost impossible to make a show like with this amount of, connections and intricacies without there being plot holes. I mean, this one is really easily avoidable, but hey, who cares, dude, really? Like, at the end of the day, who cares? American Horror Stories, the offshoot show from American Horror Story, can't exist in the same universe as AHS. In short, stories can't exist in the same universe as Murder House, so therefore it can't exist in the official universe of AHS as a whole. This leaves people to ponder, what if American Horror Stories is meant to take place in our universe? The real universe. I mean, it's an interesting idea. It's good to think about. It's cool. Alright, that was level 3 of this iceberg. Let's get into level 4. Yeah. Okay, I got no idea what this is talking about. If someone could help enlighten me, that would be great. I've been Googling and Redditing this for like 30 minutes, but I can't find anybody talking about a theory about Dr. Arden invented HIV/AIDS, or how that connects to the show at all. I know that later seasons of AHS have arcs that have been theorized to be like symbolism of HIV/AIDS, but I don't know, guys. Maybe I messed up here, but I can't think of anything. In Asylum, there are aliens that play a pretty important role. Some people think these aliens might symbolize or stand for, like, God, and here's why. Asylum takes place at Briarcliff Manor, right? People are treated cruelly, and there's a lot of suffering. But sometimes, during very intense or emotional moments, these aliens appear. It's almost like they come during times when characters really need help. This is a bit like how some people think of God as a presence that comes or acts during tough times, which is true. Jesus Christ is always there for you whenever you need him, always, and he died for your sins. Additionally, there are some strange and special events that happen because of these aliens, and you can join my Discord if you want to talk about Jesus with me. Personally, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. For example, a character named Pepper suddenly becomes much smarter after meeting the aliens. 2 women, Grace and Alma, have surprise pregnancies linked to the aliens. These special events feel like miracles, which, are often thought of as acts of God. The story in Asylum also talks a lot about believing in something, whether it's God, science, or something else, and the aliens added this idea because they're, like, mysterious. We don't know much about them, so characters and viewers must decide what they believe about the aliens without having all the answers, which, is kind of a correlation or allegory for God. There's a theory that the 10 Commandments killer was actually Alex, the wife of John Lowe. The theory is that all intentions behind the 10 Commandments killings and all of that was just to torture and get back at John for losing their son Hudson. And as you/Heather's Not My Name pointed out, in episode 1 she said she was going to see the twins with the whooping cough. Those gutted men were twins. She also is really adamant about vaccines which prevent viruses. So yeah, maybe Alex is more evil than she lets on. Ramona was that level 4 already? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, and then level 5, I guess, bro. Let's go. Ramona is one of the main villains of Hotel, right? She's played by Angela Bassett, the same actress who played Monet in Roanoke. So yeah, same actress. It's something AHS does a lot, and there's a theory that these people are the same person canonically. Yeah. This one is similar, but instead of them being the same character, it's saying that Kai is the reincarnation of Tate. So after Tate died, Kai from Cult was born and became the reincarnation. And here are the evidences for this theory. First of all, they're both played by Evan Peters, Also, both Tate and Kai exhibit sociopathic tendencies, manipulative behaviors, and show a willingness to harm or kill others without much remorse. And since they're so charismatic, that allows them to influence and manipulate those around them pretty easily. Following this, Tate's actions, such as the school shooting and his overall desire to cause havoc in the murder house, parallel Kai's intent to create chaos in society and establish a cult based on fear. Also, both characters, despite their external show of strength and control, have deep-rooted emotional and psychological issues. Tate struggles with his identity and actions, especially regarding Violet, parallel Kai's complex relationships and his vulnerabilities, particularly with his family. So yeah, given the show's intricate shared universe, it's not the biggest stretch to say that Kai is a reincarnation of Tate. Okay, so we all know that AHS takes place in the same universe, right? Well, there's a theory that not all of it does. The theory that Freak Show and Cult take place in a different universe than the rest of AHS, it stems from attempts by fans to reconcile perceived inconsistencies or differences in tone and style. Here's a breakdown of the theory and its rationale. Both Freak Show and Cult have unique styles compared to other AHS seasons. Freak Show is set in the 1950s and has an almost nostalgic, historical air about it, while Cult is intensely grounded in the political climate of its contemporary setting, which is, after the 2016 presidential election. These distinctive styles both make them feel kind of detached from the other seasons. Next, we have a lack of supernatural elements. Especially in Cult, there's a noticeable lack of the supernatural. While the other seasons often involve ghosts, witches, vampires, or other paranormal entities, Cult is rooted in human psychology, manipulation, and societal fears. Freak Show, although having some elements, like Edward Mordrake, is also mostly focused on the human condition. One of the challenges with the interconnected universe idea is when actors play different roles in different seasons. Some fans argue that the characters in Freak Show and Cult could exist in a separate universe to help explain why the same actors appear as different characters across different seasons. But this is a stupid one because it's they always do that, right? This argument can be countered since all the actors play different roles across every season of AHS. And then also there's a lot of inconsistencies between Freak Show and Cult and the rest of the show, and so saying that they're in a different universe would also help alleviate those. But this theory is also kind of dumb because Ryan Murphy has confirmed multiple times that all the seasons are connected. For instance, we see connections from Freak Show to Asylum through the character of Pepper, and similarly, Twisty the Clown from Freak Show appears in Cult as a comic book character, solidifying the connection between the seasons. So yeah, this one, good. It's fun to think about, it's fun to think about. So here's a juicy tidbit about American Horror Story Season 6. It wasn't always going to be about Roanoke. Instead, the creators initially toyed with the idea of delving deep into the American Civil War, which honestly could have been all kinds of creepy. Cheyenne Jackson, a regular in Ryan Murphy's gang, spilled some beans about it. He mentioned plans for him, Matt Bomer, and Finn Wittrock to play brothers, drawing inspiration from the eerie vibes of Nicole Kidman's film The Others. But why the switch, right? After Freak Show and Hotel, many felt the show needed a revamp. Murphy tried to reignite that AHS magic with Roanoke, which had this cool split, half documentary and half found footage horror. Some fans were into it, but a lot of fans didn't like it. They felt that it became too messy. Now, imagining the potential of Civil War is really cool. Think about it. Surreal horror, chilling real-life tales from the war, creepy medical practices and soldiers haunted by the traumas of battle. Plus, the Civil War has its fair share of ghost stories, like the eeriness around Dangerfield, Newby, or the spooky sightings at Devil's Rock. Hell, bro, knowing this show, they could have brought in Abraham Lincoln's ghost or something. Looking back at the early days of AHS, remember how Murder House and Asylum had that special spine-chilling touch? Some fans believe that a Civil War backdrop might have brought back those vibes. Whether or not this switch was a good call, well, I guess that's the beauty of TV. It's all up to personal taste. Okay, so I don't know about originally, but Roanoke was unique and the fact that the first half of it was a documentary containing a reenactment, which meant some cast members were playing real people and others were playing the actors that portrayed them. And then in the second half of the season, the real people from the documentary and the actors who portrayed them in the reenactment all came together. It's convoluted, and this is why Roanoke is my least favorite season of the show, because it makes no sense and it's stupid. But yeah, that was the whole Iceberg, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. This one, you know, a little bit different from my channel, but I thought it might be good, you know, because I love the show and I love Halloween. So if you guys liked it, please let me know by leaving a comment, leaving a like, you know, subscribing, turning that bell on. Just show me some support, guys. If you like the video, that is. If you didn't like the video, then, you know, dislike it and leave a hate comment, because I guess I deserve it. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a very spooky Halloween season and have a scary night. Sweet dreams.